They tied his hands, but they could not bind his authority. They covered his eyes, but they could not blind the truth. They mocked him as a joke, not knowing they were standing before glory. After the arrest of Jesus, the scene shifts to a dark and cruel moment recorded in Luke 22:63-65. Jesus is no longer standing freely among his disciples. He is now surrounded by guards, men tasked not with justice but with control. These were not theologians debating truth. These were soldiers and guards who saw Jesus as nothing more than a prisoner, an object of ridicule, a target for their cruelty. Luke tells us plainly, the men who were guarding Jesus began mocking and beating him. There is no dramatic build-up, no justification, just raw cruelty. Jesus, who healed the sick, raised the dead, and spoke words of life, is now treated as entertainment for those who hold temporary power. They blindfolded him. Then they struck him in the face and demanded, "Prophesy! Who hit you?" To them, this was a game, a twisted test. If he truly was a prophet, they reasoned he should be able to identify his attacker. What they failed to understand is that Jesus had nothing left to prove. His power was not diminished by silence. His identity did not depend on convincing mockers. Blindfolding Jesus was more than physical. It symbolized humanity's refusal to see the truth standing right in front of them. They could not see who he was, not because he was hidden, but because their hearts were closed. The blows continued. Luke says they hurled many other insulting things at him. Words designed to strip dignity. Laughter meant to crush hope. Each strike was meant to humiliate, to break him down before the trial even began. And yet Jesus does not respond. No curse, no defense, no retaliation. This silence is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is obedience in the face of injustice. Jesus chooses not to answer violence with violence, mockery with mockery. He had the authority to stop it all. One word could have ended the scene. One command could have called down judgment. But he remained silent. Why? Because this moment, as painful as it was part of a greater purpose. The guards believed they were in control. They believed they held power over him. But in reality, they were actors in a story they did not understand. Every insult, every strike, every laugh was moving history toward the cross, and beyond it, toward redemption. Isaiah had written centuries earlier that the Messiah would be despised and rejected by mankind. This was not an accident. This was fulfillment. Jesus was bearing not only physical pain, but the weight of human cruelty, shame, and rejection. For many believers, this scene is difficult to watch. It forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. The world does not always respond to holiness with respect. Sometimes it responds with mockery, sometimes with violence, sometimes with laughter. Jesus warned his followers that this would happen. If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. The guards mocking Jesus were not just mocking a man, they were mocking truth itself. There is something deeply revealing about how people treat truth when it threatens their sense of control. Instead of listening, they ridicule. Instead of repenting, they mock. This is not just ancient history, it is still happening today. Jesus' silence speaks louder than any argument. In a world obsessed with defending itself, justifying itself, and proving itself, Jesus shows another way, a way of trust, a way of surrender to God's justice rather than human revenge. The blindfold is especially symbolic. They tried to make Jesus stumble in darkness, but he was already walking a path lit by the Father's will. They tried to confuse him, but he knew exactly who he was and why he was there. When they said, "Prophesy, who hit you?" they were unknowingly speaking irony. Jesus already knew, not just who struck him, but who would betray him, who would deny him, who would abandon him, and who would one day believe in him. He knew it all. And still, he stayed. This moment reveals the depth of Christ's love. Love that does not run from suffering, love that does not demand fairness, love that absorbs pain so others may be healed. The guards saw a prisoner. Heaven saw a sacrifice. They mocked him as a false prophet. God knew him as the true Son. They thought their words had power, but it was Jesus' silence that shook eternity. For us today, this passage asks hard questions. How do we respond when our faith is mocked? When our beliefs are ridiculed? When standing for Christ makes us look foolish or weak in the eyes of others? It is tempting to fight back with anger, to defend ourselves with insults, to return mockery for mockery. But Jesus shows another way. Not passive acceptance of evil, but trust in God's ultimate justice. This does not mean silence is always required. Jesus spoke boldly when truth needed to be proclaimed. But here, in this moment, silence was obedience. Silence was strength. Luke's gospel reminds us that Jesus endured not only the cross, but everything leading up to it. The humiliation, the insults, the loneliness, the physical pain. Salvation was costly long before nails touched wood. And yet through it all, Jesus never stopped being who he was. The guards eventually stopped. The night moved on. Trials would follow. The cross awaited. But the mockery of the guards did not define him. It revealed them. And it revealed something else. That even when truth is mocked, it is not defeated. Even when light is laughed at, it still shines. If you have ever felt mocked for your faith, misunderstood for your beliefs, or silenced because truth was inconvenient, this story is for you. Jesus understands that pain. He has walked that road, and he did not walk it in vain. Thank you for watching this video. If this message has spoken to your heart, please like the video, follow the Holy Path Insights channel, and share it with someone who may need encouragement today. Please continue watching until the end of the video. This is the greatest support and help you can give, and I will quietly pray that God blesses you with abundant health and the grace of the Lord. May God's peace remain with you always.